But just because you have the free will to reject it does not mean that there's no proof, bro. Does not mean that there's no evidence. There's so much evidence. It's just a matter of how willing and how intellectually honest are you as an individual to go and investigate yourself.
Well, I have investigated most of my life. I was raised Catholic.
There's your problem.
Because I was raised Catholic?
Yes, 100%.
Author Dave Hunt writes, the Latin equivalent of the Greek anti is vicarius, from which comes vicar. Thus, vicar of Christ literally means antichrist.
Of course you're not going to have any kind of foundation. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And the whole tree of how you got to where you are, that is extremely fascinating. I found out that I was related to the Medici family.
The Medici family of Florence wielded unprecedented power during the Renaissance through a mix of wealth and cunning. Their influence reached beyond finance. They mastered political maneuvering, forging alliances, and manipulating rivals.
Pope Leo X, the guy that came up with indulgences.
Buongiorno, I am Giovanni de' Medici. Some complained about my selling of indulgences to fund these projects. That German monk Luther made quite a fuss. I dismissed him as some drunken German who will change his mind when sober.
And I want to talk sense with people. I'm not one of those stupid Billy Graham Bible-thumping Christians that's going to just point their finger at everybody because they're drinking or smoking or going to the clubs or... You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that Billy Graham was an honorary 33-degree Freemason?
33-degree Masons, when you get to that level, recognize that Lucifer is the creator, he's the light bearer, and he's our savior. Not Jesus Christ, but Lucifer.
Can't you understand that? What the hell is wrong with you people?
Freemason of the century wrote that Freemasonry is a religion and that initiates are intentionally misled until they reach the highest levels. But who is the supreme being in Masonry?
Freemasonry is Satanism in disguise.
33rd degree sovereign grand commander of the Scottish Rite, Albert Pike, wrote in Morals and Dogma that Lucifer is the light bearer.
If he were telling the truth, he wouldn't have told us.
Unless, of course, he knew you wouldn't believe the truth, even if he told us.
He's not constantly answering the prayers to everybody. He's not constantly showing miracles. He's not doing anything.
God is like Bruce Almighty? I mean, maybe it's because you're conceptualizing God in all the Hollywood ways.
Okay, I had to have made some kind of a dent by now. Oh, come on! What a bunch of whiners. This is gonna suck up my whole life. Yes, 2-all. Yeah, there you go. Now everybody's happy.
The scene nearly turned violent when hundreds of disgruntled Buffalo residents protested last week's lottery results.
And doomsayers are pointing to last week's strange celestial events as signs that prophecy is now being fulfilled and the world as we know it may be coming to an end.
The world's gone mad.
The lottery sucks! Only won $17!
Well, hello there, Bruce Almighty. Not as easy as it looks, is it, son? This God business.
No, I'm conceptualizing a God that's involved.
God is not a genie in a bottle.
But if he wants us to believe, he should just prove it, and he doesn't.
Bro, he did 2,000 years ago.
The best that does is it proves it to some people. Most people, maybe.
No, man. The very fact that his name is used as a curse word on all the TV shows that you watch only proves to you that he accomplished what he set out to do. But just because you have the free will to reject it does not mean that there's no proof, bro. Does not mean that there's no evidence. There's so much evidence. It's just a matter of how willing and how intellectually honest are you as an individual to go and investigate yourself.
Well, I have investigated most of my life. I was raised Catholic, and I've always been interested in God.
There's your problem. There's your problem.
Because I was raised Catholic?
Yes, 100%. Your entire foundation was built on sand.
Luther declared, I believe the Pope is the masked and incarnate devil, because he is the Antichrist. It is important to understand that this belief was not just confined to Luther, but was held by all the reformers from John Wycliffe in the 14th century to Charles Spurgeon in the late 19th century. Spurgeon said, it is the bounden duty of every Christian to pray against Antichrist. And as to what Antichrist is, no sane man ought to raise a question. If it be not the Popery in the Church of Rome, there is nothing in the world that can be called by that name. The Westminster Confession of Faith, along with the Savoy Confession, the Old Baptist Confession, and the Methodist views of John Wesley, all included the declaration that the Pope Pope is that Antichrist, that man of sin and son of perdition that exalteth himself in the church. This was also the belief of the men who translated the King James Bible. In their opening dedication, they commended the king for writing in defense of the truth, which hath given such a blow unto that man of sin as will not be healed. The view of the Antichrist, not as a single man, but of many men in a single office, was based in part on the teaching of John Wycliffe. In the Gospel of Matthew, the disciples asked Jesus, "What shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?" Jesus said to them, "Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many." Wycliffe believed that the many who say, "I am Christ," are in fact the popes. The pope's title, Vicarius Christi, literally means another Christ. Wycliffe concluded that Antichrist is thus a monstrous composite. In further explaining the pope's title, author Dave Hunt writes, the Latin equivalent of the Greek anti is vicarius, from which comes vicar. Thus, vicar of Christ literally means Antichrist.
Of course you're not going to have any kind of foundation.
Yeah, my religious experience is probably limited. I haven't studied much of the other denominations except Eastern Orthodox.
So what's your name, Machine Elf?
Michael.
Michael, it's nice to meet you. I'm Daniel.
Yeah, you too, Daniel.
Where are you from?
I'm near DC.
You're in the DC area. You pretty much grew up in the city your whole life?
Suburbs of cities.
Okay, so close to, that's like Carrollton and Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. Not in the city.
Yeah, okay. Did you go to DC a lot when you were younger?
Yeah, I still do. It's a great place for parkour.
For what?
Parkour, basically it's kind of like free running, just going over obstacles.
Oh, like that ninja stuff?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I love obstacles, man. I remember in Boy Scouts, the obstacle course at Boy Scout summer camp, they would wait every 10 seconds before they let the next person go, and I just lapped 5-6 of the kids and finished before all of them.
So what denomination are you, or what were you raised in?
I was raised in a Baptist church. Then I was forced to go to a Presbyterian church against my own will when I was 10. And my first crush went to that Baptist church. I was so devastated, It was like my whole life was over. I'll never get to see her anymore because the one time I could ever see her is on Sundays, and now I can't even see her on Sundays. But yeah, I grew up Baptist, and then I was forced to go to a Presbyterian church, and I grew up in a conservative Baptist private school, and I got a very good biblical education at a young age. But as I wrestled with the whole predestination versus free will, because that's the main thing for Presbyterians and Baptists, I came to the conclusion at a young age that predestination and free will are hand in hand. They cannot exist without the other.
Yes, I like this.
Because foreknowledge is not the same thing as predestination. God is not programming you to reject him right now. You're rejecting him on your own free will, Michael.
Right. Well, this is interesting. I kind of agree with you because I do believe that free will is an act of determination. So the determinism and free will go hand in hand. But when it comes to who programmed us, you have to ask that question. How did we get programmed? How did we get the desires and preferences and character traits that we have at this moment?
You've got nature and then you've got nurture. It's just basic psychology.
Right. And what is that? But do you think about what that means? Nature, we do not choose. The nurture, we do not choose. So we don't choose who we are as much as we like to think we do.
That only depends on if the individual is defining themselves based off of his nature and nurture.
Well, every single decision that you make is based off your nature and nurture from the beginning. When you're a baby, you're not making decisions. You're just reacting.
That is a redundant statement, though.
It's a tautology, yeah.
It's such a redundant statement because everyone is going to walk a unique path. And
everyone's going to walk a unique path. I agree.
Yeah, everybody's path may have similar obstacles, but it's not going to unfold in the same way, especially on the spectrum of time. That's why you got so many people that age straight up their assholes.
Right, but think about it. We just covered that all there is nature and nurture, and you don't choose your upbringing, and you don't choose your genetics, you don't choose your soul. So there's nothing about you that you chose. It was all given to you.
Because you, Michael, and I were created in the image of God. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And the whole tree of how you got to where you are, that is extremely fascinating. I mean, when I did my 23andMe, my brother Chosen was telling me to get my DNA test. I told him, bro, it's just going to tell me I'm Korean. What's the point of paying $100 to have a DNA test tell me that I'm Korean? He's like, no, man, you got to upload the DNA data on a different website and you'll find out more information on all the dead people too. I found out that I was related to the Medici family.
Have you ever wondered how a banking family became the architects of an entire city's political landscape? The Medici family of Florence wielded unprecedented power during the Renaissance through a mix of wealth and cunning. Their influence reached beyond finance. They mastered political maneuvering, forging alliances, and manipulating rivals. Lorenzo de' Medici, known as the Magnificent, was a master strategist, using marriages and patronage to consolidate power. Lesser known is the role of women like Clarice Orsini, who navigated court intrigues. Their clandestine dealings and secret agreements sometimes led to violence, shaping the destiny of Florence and the greater Italian peninsula in ways still felt today.
Pope Leo X, the guy that came up with indulgences?
Buongiorno, I am Giovanni de' Medici, Pope Leo X, born to Florence's great banking family and made a cardinal at just 13 years old. Such a prodigious start to a magnificent life. When I became Pope at only 37 years of age in 1513, I spared no expense. As I famously said, God has given us the papacy, let us enjoy it. My coronation procession featured elephants and golden chariots, while my court buzzed with the greatest artists of the age. Raphael himself painted for me, Michelangelo designed for me, poets composed verses in my honor. Yes, I spent lavishly on art and culture, transforming Rome into the jewel of Renaissance splendor. The Vatican under my rule became a paradise of learning, music, and feasting. Some complained about my selling of indulgences to fund these projects. That German monk Luther made quite a fuss. I dismissed him as some drunken German who will change his mind when sober. Who knew his complaints would spark what they now call the Reformation? My family, the Medici, had always believed that power should be dressed in beauty. Why lead a church of splendor while living in austerity?
Sorry, I was... Is it you? Your cloak. Is it you? Yes. Oh, very nice. May I see it? Of course. Oh, very fine. My father would sell wool like this, but only to the wealthiest nobles. No. No. What did you do that for? The Medici do not call attention to themselves with fancy dress.
I have money. Why not enjoy it?
You have my money.
You wanted to see us, Father?
Yes. This is a letter from Rome. The Pope has died.
Ludwig Beethoven? Kim Jong-un and Kim Jong-il? I'm Kim Jong-un's distant uncle, bro. It might make more sense as to why I'm so fiery, passionate all the time. I speak with passion and people misconceive it as I'm emotionally unstable. No, I'm very emotionally stable. I'm just a laser beam.
Nice.
And I want to talk sense with people. I'm not one of those stupid Billy Graham Bible-thumping Christians that's going to just point their finger at everybody because they're drinking or smoking or going to the clubs, or you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I'm not one of those. I rip their heads off way more than I do the unbeliever. Did you know that Billy Graham was an honorary 33-degree Freemason?
Nope.
Do you know what that means?
Did you know that Billy Graham was a 33-degree Freemason?
33-degree Masons, when you get to that level, recognize that Lucifer is the creator, he's the light bearer, and he's our savior. Not Jesus Christ, but Lucifer.
Can't you understand that? What the hell is wrong with you people?
No idea.
You got to look into this stuff, bro.
Wait, stop. You have to watch this.
As one climbs the ladder of power in Freemasonry, each degree requires more barbaric acts from the initiate. From being humiliated and stepped on, drinking wine from a human skull, stabbing human skulls. And in one of the highest degrees, the initiate removes a blindfold to find a severed human head lying on the floor with a bloody knife beside it. He is instructed to take the knife in his right hand and the head in his left. Eventually, this leads the initiate to accept human sacrifice as a rite of initiation, which is the ultimate goal of this unholy hierarchy. 33rd degree Mason Manly P. Hall, who was named Freemason of the Century, wrote that Freemasonry is a religion and that initiates are intentionally misled until they reach the highest levels. He wrote that Freemasonry is an outer organization concealing an inner brotherhood, one visible and one invisible. The invisible is dedicated to the service of a mysterious arcanum arcanorum. Having a belief in a supreme being is required to become a Mason, and the atheist is looked upon by the Mason as being the most vulgar and despicable of mankind. But who is the supreme being in Masonry?
Freemasonry is Satanism in disguise.
33rd degree Sovereign Grand Commander of the Scottish Rite, Albert Pike, wrote in Morals and Dogma that Lucifer is the light bearer. 33rd degree Mason Albert Mackey wrote that Lucifer is good, light, victory, and initiation.
Well, the Freemasons, they kind of just seem like an over-glorified club, right?
That's
I
what
don't think they actually have real power.
That's what they want you to believe.
I think anything with real power would be able to just keep it secret without having a front.
A lot of it still is secret.
Maybe so. I don't know. I just don't feel that people are competent enough for that, right? For there to be a secret government or a secret organization that runs the world. People are just too apt to backstab and to bicker and to whistleblow. It wouldn't hold together.
I'm not understanding what you're trying to say.
I'm saying that I don't think that abductively it is at all very likely that there is a shadow government or a secret organization controlling things. It's so unlikely that we can discount it, I think.
No.
Well, do you have evidence of this being the case besides motive?
Okay, well, I mean, let's just think of it in broad terms, okay? Because I don't want to get into any specifics.
Oh, okay.
But when you look at the music industry and Hollywood, do you realize that most of those are actually Freemasons? Like Shaquille O'Neal, he's a Freemason.
Yeah, I think there might be some smaller conspiracy of people covering for each other when they commit crimes, like P. Diddy kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah, that could be going on, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that the Freemasons are the shadow government. Okay, let's just get that out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that high-ranking, influential members in society are also in the Freemasons. And a lot of it is geared towards philanthropy and doing good for society. But what people don't realize is what's actually happening behind closed doors.
Oh, I definitely believe the Masons aren't doing much good for society. I mean, otherwise we'd know about it. I can't think of one thing the Masons did. There's things that people who are Masons have done, but they don't credit the Masons for that.
No, bro. It's all about whoever you are as a member in that society. It's about gaining influence in your particular community.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, it's going to be at an individual level.
Yeah, I miss having a club. Atheists need a club. Or you can just convert me at some point.
Well, that's what I'm working on, man. I'm trying to speak some truth to you. I'm not trying to force you into anything, but I'd like to keep going down this rabbit hole with you as far as what is causing you to have this disconnect and not be able to open your heart to Jesus. Because it's not a matter of you opening up your heart to me. I can open up to you. I have no problem. I'm completely naked before the world. But it's a matter of you opening your heart to Jesus.
My heart is already open to all people. That's actually pretty easy for me now after what I've been through. But the issue is opening up my mind to the idea that he literally rose from the dead. Like miracle claims, supernatural stuff. I'm way far from accepting things like that.
Okay, all right. Well, have you ever heard of an individual named Vallius Paterculus?
No, great name.
Yeah, Vallius Paterculus was a Roman historian, and not many people know about him. Most Christian apologists don't even know about him.
If he were telling the truth, he wouldn't have told us.
Unless, of course, he knew you wouldn't believe the truth, even if he told it to you.